Ngayon, binanggit din ni Pangulo ang higit kumulang 140,000 na tulungan ng mga naroroon at saka mga nanumbalik repatriated. Nabanggit din yung pagtaguyod ng Action Fund. Ito yung pondo na itinalaga ng Kongreso at ng Pangulo sa pamamagitan ng legal, medical at financial assistance sa ating mga OFWs. 80,000 na po ang nabiyayaan sa panahon ni Presidente kasi ito nagkaroon ng food implementation. 80,000 OFWs have benefited from the financial assistance program dito sa Action Fund. Yung tulong sa mga distressed OFWs, mga OFWs na sumasaklolo sa atin, whether nando doon o kaya dito, paalis pa lang na biktima ng illegal recruitment, tinutulungan natin. Yung mga nanumbalik na distress, walang dalang pera, nahintuan trabaho, tinutulungan din natin. And then of course, 14,000 ang nakikinabang pa rin sa mga kasong handled po by our 25 legal retainers all around the world. When I say legal retainers, I do not mean 25 lawyers. I mean 25 legal offices kung saan at least merong 5 hanggang 10 abogado. So, hindi po ito 25 na tao na lawyers, kundi 25 legal offices that we hired that assist our OFWs all around the world. And as I mentioned, 14,000 cases have been handled and currently handled so combination nito ng mga tapos na kaso at kasalukuyan pang hinahandle na kaso, 14,000 OFWs being helped. Sa amin po is, of course, coming on the heels of the SONA, successful SONA, meaningful SONA ng ating mahal na Pangulo, detalyado, siksik sa laman ng kanyang agenda, ng kanyang accomplishments, and of course, yung pagtanggol ng ating kasarinlangan, national pride and dignity natin, pati yung anti-corruption measures, first thing on the agenda dun sa kanyang SONA. But for us, of course, it's the OFWs, at tama yung sabi ni Sir Butch, na meron talagang kahalagahan sa ating Pangulo, ang OFWs. After nung pag-anunsyo niya, nung anti-corruption measures and prosecutorial measures, ay agad niyang pinag-usapan ang tulong sa mga OFWs at particular na binanggit niya itong Middle East crisis. 12,000 ang natulungan in terms of napauwi ng mga OFWs na kailangang mailigtas. Kasama na po doon yung sa bilang ng OWA, yung mga na-stranded, di lamang sa Middle East. Papuntang Middle East, pero na-stranded elsewhere, let's say Hong Kong or Bangkok, at iba pa nasa Europa, natulungan po rin natin yun. Kasi kung naalala nyo, na nagsara ang mga airports nung panahon na kasagsagan nung sa Marso at Abril, kasagsagan nung US-Israel-Iran war. Merong higit kumulang 5,000 na nabiyayaan ng medical assistance. Ibig sabihin ng 5,000 na medical assistance, binayaran natin yung pa-ospital. Okay? Ngayon, marami naman kasing OFWs na covered ng insurance, medical insurance. So, hinahayaan na natin syempre ang medical insurance to cover their hospital needs, including medication, by the way. Pero, 5,000 of them walang insurance coverage. And this is where we stepped in. And I need to emphasize that walang ceiling o hangganan sa pagtulong sa medical bills. Kasi kung gagawin natin yun, hindi pa rin makakabayad ang karamihan. So halimbawa, kung meron tayong tinulungan na 1 million peso mahigit sa Saudi, cancer, at tinulungan natin ang ganap. Kasi kung kalahati lang ang ibigay natin, 200,000, 100,000. Eh, nandun pa rin yung kababayan natin kasi hindi niya mababayaran yung kabuuan ng hospital bill. So, this is just an example of the things that we do. Kasama na dyan ang kabayaran sa medical repatriation. And as you know, minsan kailangan ng air ambulance, minsan kailangan ng stretcher seats sa mga airplanes. You take up 3, 4, 5 seats para magpauwi ng ilang stretcher case. So kasama po yan sa binabayaran natin. So sa instruction ni Presidente, when it comes to these situations, walang isang kusing na babayaran ng ating kababayang OFWs. Now, let me go to another matter na binanggit ni Pangulo, which is reintegration. Kasama na yun sa 140,000 na natulungan natin pa uwi. Itong crisis sa Middle East, we have been conducting two things. One is Servicio Caravans. 25 Servicio Caravans already taken place all around the world. Ibig sabihin ng Servicio Caravan, dinadala natin yung mga government agencies. Mga 20 of them or so. SSS, Pag-ibig, LTO, PSA for the national ID, DOT for mga tourism-related businesses and endeavors. Example lang yan ng mga dinadala natin sa abroad. LTO, yung sa driver's license. Marami nagre-renew. OWA and DMW, of course, present also. 25 yan all around the world. Ngayon, yung reintegration fairs naman dito sa Pilipinas, similar, same number, around 23 have been conducted since the Middle East crisis broke out. Ibig sabihin nun, job and livelihood, reskilling, retooling through TESDA, pinapalaganap po natin yan. And around 50,000 OFWs have already benefited. Ito lang yung local Yung local fairs, servicio fairs, 50,000. Yung 25 overseas job fair, overseas servicio fairs, over 100,000 OFWs ang nagsipuntahan sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo wherever we conduct servicio caravans. Example, Saudi, UAE, Qatar, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, lahat po yan napuntahan na natin to conduct the job fairs. Now, I will give a special update on the Northern Black Sea because that is the latest emergency situation that our OFWs, particularly our seafarers, face. So I will provide some figures. Currently, we have been monitoring for these last 3 weeks. As you know, ang sitwasyon, umatake ang Ukraine sa Russia, sa Sea of Azov, tumira na mga tinira yung mga ilang ships doon sa Russian territorial waters, bumuelta ang Russia sa Ukraine, at yun namang mga ships sa Ukrainian ports, doon tayo natamaan. Nandun yung mga ships carrying our Filipino crew. And just to provide an update, we have 17 ships attacked in the northern Black Sea with Filipino seafarers. 236 Filipino seafarers involved in these 17 attack ships. 217 are unharmed, 15 injured. Nung nakaraang linggo, 2 ang deceased, pero ang iuulat ko ngayon, may isang nadagdag na nasawi. So 3 na po ang nasawi natin sa Northern Black Sea attacks sa ships docked in Ukrainian ports and 1 missing. So muli, 236 Filipino seafarers in 17 attack ships in the Northern Black Sea, 217 unharmed, 15 injured, 3 deceased, and 1 missing. Of the 236, 89 have been repatriated. So ongoing po ang repatriation natin. And 9 out of the 15 of those repatriated, yung injured. So 15 of the injured, siyam sa kanila nakauwi na. So may 6 pa na naroroon. The rest are distributed across Ukraine. So naibaba na sila. Some naibaba na sa Ukrainian mainland, Romania, Greece, and Turkey. So they are distributed across these different countries. Ngayon, yung 3 nasawi, sinasaayos na po ang kanilang pag-uwi. Hindi ko lang i-disclose kung ano yung current location ng mga labi, but rest assured, we are currently working with the ship owner, the DFA, and the manning agency to effect their immediate repatriation. I have personally, per instructions of the President, I have personally visited all of the families of the 3 deceased, including the 1 missing. Dinalo ko na po sila, hindi ko na rin i-disclose kung nasaan bahagi sila ng Pilipinas. And I've assured them, have conveyed the President's sympathies and directive of fullest support and assistance. Sa Lunes, kami ni Admin PY Kaunan magtutungo ng Romania. Bakit? Kasi merong ilang seafarers natin sa attack ships doon dinala, so we will see them. One of the human remains is in Romania, so we will visit the morgue where the human remains are located. And myself and Admin PY, and we will bring a team, augmentation team, Nagpapasalamat kami kay Sectes Lazaro because of course this is in full coordination with the DFA and our embassy in Bucharest, Ambassador Noel Servigon. Lastly, we have issued an advisory to manning agencies and ship owners. There are 3 items in that advisory. 1, for the seafarers, all seafarers in attacked ships to be repatriated. Number 2, by our count, there are 180 more Filipino seafarers in unattacked ships in the area. Okay? In 12 ships, there are 12 ships carrying around 180 Filipino seafarers, unattacked but still in the area. So ang instruction namin is to bring all these Filipino seafarers, sa mga ship owners, to safer ground or safer port. Okay? And lastly, yung mga nagbabalak to proceed in the Northern Black Sea, we have directed all ship manning agencies to not proceed with the ships carrying Filipino seafarers to the Northern Black Sea. Why? Because we have received the security assessments from both the DFA and the DND, and both the DFA and the DND had established a full-scale international armed conflict in the area. Mataas po ang antas ng panganib, kaya't kailangan pong wala po munang Filipino seafarers in that area. Meron din pa ring right to refuse sailing. Pero ang sinasabi na namin ngayon, dun sa Northern Black Sea, wag munang pumunta. Wag munang magdala. Actually, pwedeng pumunta kung walang dalang Filipino seafarer. Of course, we cannot stop a ship owner from continuing yung freedom of yung kanyang navigation routes. However, wag po munang magdala ng Filipino seafarer doon sa tindi ng panganib. And I need to mention that merong 15-day periodic review ng situation. We are continually monitoring the situation together with the DND and the DFA.
Yan po yung gusto kong liwanagan, Secretary. Kasi dati, parang may individual na desisyon yung Filipino seafarers na pwedeng i-exercise yung karapatan niya na hindi mag-sail sa delikadong lugar. Pero ito pong bago niyong kautusan sa Northern Black Sea, yung mismong barko ang pinagbabawalang maglayag kung may Pilipino. Paano po kung, tanong ko sa inyo, paano kung yung Pilipino, marami tayong kababayan, matigas ang ulo, kung ano man ang kadahilanan, gusto pa rin, doble bayad So magsisail pa rin po ako doon. At nagkaroon ng disgrasya. Sino rin na may pananagutan?
Well, may pananagutan po doon yung manning agent at yung ship owner. Of course, yung seafarer, kahit nagpatuloy, tutulungan pa rin natin. Pero abiso na rin ito sa ating mga tripulante. Kung kayo po ay hinahatak o hinihikayat na magpatuloy, pwede po kayong tumanggi. At sabihin niyo po sa amin, may hotlines tayo, 1348 kung nasa abroad, plus 632-1348 hotlines, kung saan pwede ninyong idulog. Pwedeng written, pwedeng verbal. Meron din kaming email account kung saan pwede magpadala. May form po na po kasi yan, di ba? May established form na yan to exercise the right to refuse sailing. They can fill up that form, downloadable sa DMW website at sa Facebook pages, but pwedeng verbal, 1348 plus 632-1348 hotline.
So manning agency po ang mananagot.
Yes. At I think napatunayan na natin yan, Sir Ariel, di ba? Yung sa Red Sea, merong mga 4 na tayong nasuspindi na manning agency. Meron pang ang 2 na sa kalukuyan pa rin nakasuspindi. Gawa ng mga namatay na sawi sa Red Sea.
Siyempre, Pilipino tayo, gusto natin ligtas ang ating mga kababayan. Pero ano po yung pinagmumulan ng ating maliban sa pagmamahal sa buhay ng ating kababayan? Ano yung lakas ng loob natin ang pinagkukunan para magpataw ng ganon? Magde-devil's advocate ako. Hindi po kaya maging less competitive sa market o ang mga Pilipinong seafarers?
This is subject to a 15-day review na naman. Itong bagay na ito, naidulog na natin sa tinatawag na Maritime Industry Tripartite Council. Ito yung venue natin for social dialogue. So may abiso na rin sa mga stakeholders. And this is subject to a 15-day review. Kasi malinaw naman na matindi ngayon ang sitwasyon doon. At very unpredictable. We cannot place ourselves in the hands of the attackers. We cannot place our seafarers' fate in the hands of those sa mga nag-a-attack at tayo aasa na hindi sila atakihin. That is too much risk. So this is a risk management measure on our side. to prevent further losses. Again, may 3 nasawi pero may 236 na involved. Maaring unharmed sila. I met some of them at the airport. Sinalubong ko yung 5 kahapon na na-repat. 5 of the those repatriated, and trauma ang unang-una nilang sinalubong sa akin, yung mga kwento kung ano nangyari. One of them, even itong barko na to, nandun yung isang nasawi. One of them even held their deceased, their dying colleague in his arms bago namatay. Nag-video pa ng farewell message sa kanyang pamilya. Yung ganon, I mean, duguan and all that. So, maraming pinagdaanan itong mga tripulante natin sa mga barkong ito. At hindi natin siyempre matatawaran yung mga ganyang klaseng karanasan. But rest assured, we're providing psychosocial assistance, DOH, and the OWA helping us there. So, napakalaki po ng kapalit. Kaya it is not worth it at this stage. At this stage lang naman, temporary lang naman po. There is a 15-day monitoring and review period. Hindi po yan natin long-term strategy yung paglabas ng mga kababayan natin per se. Alam rin ito ni Congressman kasi matagal nang nakatalaga sa batas. Since 1995, kung naalala nyo yung batas ng bunsod ng floor contemplation case, yung Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos Act, nandun na po nakalagay that overseas employment is not a national development strategy. But rather, if and when our citizens decide to go abroad, then there should be mechanisms to ensure their protection in all stages of the process. Meaning, bago pabang recruit pa lang, siguraduhin hindi mabiktima ng illegal recruitment. Pag nandun, tutulungan sila ng mga welfare at labor attaché at welfare officers natin through our embassy, at sa pag-uwi, reintegration. So yun po ang ating framework of what we call migration governance. And never has it been a policy, never has been a has it been a policy of the Marcos administration to promote overseas employment as a development strategy. But protection, welfare and protection is at the priority, the foremost priority of the Marcos administration. Kanina napag-usapan na natin yung pull factor, kaya ang ating OFWs get job offers for abroad, the quality of our workers, English speaking proficiency. One of them also is yung law-abiding citizens tayo. And sa abroad, we are known to assimilate, should I say, adapt very well to foreign, not just work environments, but foreign environments as a whole. So magaling tayong mag-adapt, magaling makisama. Yan. I think it can be summed up in that way, yung pakikisama trait natin. And that includes yung law-abiding quality natin. So that's first. Paalala sa ating mga OFWs na ipagpatuloy nyo lang po palaganapin pa ninyo ang ating reputasyon na tayo ay nandun lamang para magtrabaho, paunlarin ng pamilya natin, pamayanan natin, sambayanan, at hindi para makilahok sa anumang aspetong politikal o larangang politikal, lalo na kapag mainit ang sitwasyon, political situation sa host country. So, andyan naman ang DFA always, no? Joint DFA-DMW effort yan to issue advisories along these lines. Huwag makilahok sa rally, huwag maghayag ng political views or opinions, lalo na sa social media. Dahil talagang, let's face it, some host countries, if not many of them, are very strict about these matters on foreigners taking part in political exercises or rallies or other endeavors in the host country. So, patuloy lang pong pagpapaalala sa ating mga kababayan sa aspeto na ito.
Napaka-diplomatiko ng mga pamamahayag ni Secretary Hans. Pero okay po ba sa inyo sabihin kung anong mga bansa yung dapat medyo rendahan ng mga Pilipino, yung kanilang public display ng kanilang political advocacy na
I will continue to be diplomatic and say, I don't think we need to enumerate countries. And besides, alam na ng OFWs natin yun. They very well know the rules. Galing din tayo dyan, di ba? Yung pagpapalaganap ng kung anong bawal, kung anong pwede. Kahit dito sa atin, di ba? Kung anong mga patakaran. So, I think napakataas ng antas ng kaalaman ng ating mga OFW sa larangan na yan. So they know, OFWs know what the rules are in their respective host countries. Of course, meron tayong our own cyber libel laws and even in the host countries. Yun na nga, laganap din ang implementasyon ng mga rules and regulations about proper behavior and protocols, ethics in social media. So, paalala na rin sa ating mga OFWs na paalalahanan itong mga batas na ito at yung larangan na ito in terms of, lalo na yung sa aspeto ng spreading of fake news, yan, false information. Di ba? I think alam na rin ng mga kababayan natin yan, yung simpleng yung endorsement or yung resending or reposting ng mga fake news and false information itself can be an offense or a crime, not just under our cybercrime laws but even in the host country. Mahigpit na ho dyan. Galing lang ako sa Malaysia at nakadopalad ko yung labor minister doon at ang Filipino community natin. At yun nga, yung isang nabanggit sa akin ng ambassador natin doon is kahigpitan even doon sa mga komentaryo about their king. Yung mga bagay na gano'n. Alam na rin yan ng mga kababayan natin. You cannot insult or cast the king in a bad light in the host country. So, yung mga bagay na gano'n is are well known to our people and they very well know that they should be the proper ethics and protocol measures sa social media. Yeah, unang-una, hindi ko masasabing cheap labor ang Filipino worker. Ba't ko nasabi yon? Kasi sa mundo ngayon, meron tinatawag na national treatment requirements sa mga pagpasok ng labor migration. So, ibig sabihin, yung isang Pilipino papasok sa ibang bansa, tatratuhin siya kahalintulad ng nationals ng host country. So, yan ang nananaig ngayon na patakaran na proseso. Kaya't hindi katakataka halimbawa, isang OFW ay nakakatanggap din ng medical insurance benefits or packages ng kahalintulad ng isang manggagawa sa ibang bansa. In fact, isa yan sa number one answer. Pag tinanong mo ang isang OFW, kung ano yung mga benefits na natatanggap niya sa abroad. So, I would say na in general, hindi maituturing na cheap labor. Kahit sa larangan ng pagiging kasambahay or domestic worker. Di ba, nabanggit ni Pangulo sa kanyang SONA yung pagtatalaga ng dissenting pasahod sa ating mga domestic workers around the world. So, we are among, should I say, the most respected quality workers. And in so doing, yung kontrata nila, isang function niya ng DMW, by the way, na dumadaan ng kontrata sa DMW para siguraduhin sang-ayon sa batas ng Pilipinas at ng host country yung kontrata ng isang worker. And we hardly need to look over our shoulders, dun lang sa tanong. We hardly need to look over our shoulders and look at what the other countries are doing. Kasi matatag ang kumpiyansa natin about the Filipino worker. We don't need to be so mindful about one country sending a group of their own nationals abroad na baka ma-threaten ng Filipino workers natin. We don't really need to do that because matatag ang kalidad ng ating mga workers.